Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to Gnan Cloud Garage. In this session, I'm going to talk about how to enable test drive of Zerto for Kubernetes, in short form Z4K for hands-on lab. Okay, so before enabling the Zerto for Kubernetes hands-on lab, let's quickly understand what is the today's agenda. So here is the agenda. What is Zerto's vision for next generation applications, and introduction to Zerto for Kubernetes hands-on lab, and how to enable a test drive of Zerto for Kubernetes hands-on lab. Okay. And as we know, Zerto a HPE company. And in this lab, we are focusing on the AKS Azure Kubernetes service. Okay. And what is the Zerto's vision for next generation applications? Next generation application means all the containerized applications. And Zerto for Kubernetes extends our enterprise class VM and cloud platform to cloud native application that are built on containers. Okay. And as more enterprises move to DevOps model, development and operations model, the reliance on microservices require a better data protection strategy than is typically seen. Okay, because the current traditional backups, it's supported for a full system backup, file level, OS level C drive, D drive, or directory based backup or NAS storage backup. But some of the backup tool still have a challenges to support for a containerization platforms. But this solution is helpful for the all the next generation applications. And continuous data protection, in short form CDP, ensures our data protection strategy can keep up with the fast paced world of containerizations. Okay, and combine Zerto industry leading CDP and journaling technology, this both to provide best protection for Kubernetes. K8 means Kubernetes workloads, whether running on premises, that means on premises data center, or in the cloud. That means it can be a private cloud, public cloud, multi cloud, or hybrid cloud. All the environment, this solution is supported. Okay. And another point, introduction to Zerto for Kubernetes hands-on lab. So if you want to do the hands-on lab within our Zerto website, we can find the hands-on lab option. And when we log into the Zerto for Kubernetes hands-on lab, the mainly this hands-on lab allows us to experience a containerized version of Zerto that has been purpose built for Kubernetes environments, whether running on premises or in the cloud. And that the following are the currently supported when testing in our own environment. This solution, Zerto for Kubernetes solution, is supported for all the 6 flavors, like Amazon's Elastic Kubernetes Service and Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS, and Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE, and Red Hat OpenShift. In short form, we call it as Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform. And this was solution also supported for the Zerto for Kubernetes tool, and IBM Kubernetes Service, IKS, and last but not the least, vSphere with Tanzu or TKG, Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. All these containerization solution, enterprise grade Kubernetes solutions, this Zerto for Kubernetes data protection tool is compatible. Okay, and maybe we may expect in future other container platforms also may support it, that is HPE Esmeralda, and we also have other container platforms like Suzy Rancher. Okay, but in our current hands-on lab, we are just focusing on the AKS. So this lab uses Azure Kubernetes Service specifically, and an AKS cluster has already been deployed for us as part of the lab. Okay, and before we jump into the lab, let's try to familiarize all these containerization solution, enterprise Kubernetes solutions icons. Normally Amazon EKS, this is the icon. So let's try to familiarize wherever you see this icon, you can recall that this is a AKS, Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service icon. And similarly, in this lab, we are going to test the Azure Kubernetes Service, and this is the icon for the AKS. And Google Cloud Engine or Google Kubernetes Engine, sorry, Google Kubernetes Engine, this is the icon. And IBM IKS, IBM Cloud Kubernetes Service. And we also have Red Hat OpenShift, this is the icon. And for Tanzu, this is the icon. Okay, so wherever you see these icons, okay, you can understand these are all the enterprise Kubernetes platforms. Okay, now how to enable a test drive of Zerto for Kubernetes hands-on lab. So to enable a hands-on lab, there are few steps. Those few steps I will just show you first, and then we'll log into the hands-on lab and we can enable. See, from the Windows jump box, the desktop, we have a already downloaded the tools Putty. So you can double click on Putty to connect to the AKS, Azure Kubernetes service. And to get started to the connection, we need to type the command az login. But when we type this command az login, it will give you an instruction. That instruction says that we need to log into this website, https www.microsoft.com/device login. This device login require one login ID and password. This password information, when you connect through the SSH session, it will show you the code, the same code we need to enter in this login credentials. Okay, and at the prompt, our browser, even this browser, the login credentials, we have to use our lab ID. So lab ID is whatever the number they provided, that number at the rate zeto.pro. This ID we need to enter to get the authentication. Okay, once it is fully authenticated, we should see SSH session, whatever the SSH putty we connected, SSH session in our jump box, and respond affirmatively with the details about the account and subscription you are now in. Okay, and note that it may take a moment for CLI to reflect the successful authentication. Generally, we are connecting to the public cloud, Azure. So when we're trying to connect from our jump host, it may take a while to connect. Okay, and once it is connected, connection is established, we have to run this command. So this command is AKS get the credentials for this specific resource group and our student ID and hyphen name, and our name should be Zerto Kubernetes Lab. So in short form, ZKH Lab. Okay, and Azure will prompt Azure will import a kubeconfig file. So that kubeconfig file we can able to access, okay, to our cluster for this lab, and we can verify by successfully logging the Kubernetes typical Kubernetes command, that is kubectl space get space nodes. Okay, I highlighted all the commands in a yellow color. Okay, and this information we are going to do the test now. Okay, this is how we can enable the test drive of Z4K hands-on lab. Okay, so now quickly log into our jump host. So this is the Windows jump host. So once we log into the Windows jump host, what we can do is we can launch the putty. Okay, let's launch the putty. See, it's already logged into the SSH session. And just for our clear picture, let me increase the font. Let's say font is 20. Okay, now the first command, as per the instructions, we need to type az space login. Okay, once you type the command az space login, it clearly says to sign in, use a browser to open the page microsoft.com/device login and enter the code. They given the code already. Okay, so open a browser and we can try to use this login. Okay, and this URL I just pasted in our desktop instructions. So this is the one. Let me copy and paste the URL. So once we log into the authentication, it is asking to enter the code. See the code, when we connect here, it is clearly given the code. Just select this code and paste it here. Okay, now click on next. When we enter the code, it's prompt to enter the email address. So email address should be our lab email address. So I'm just entering the Zerto lab email address and click on next. And even though if you have a personal Azure account also, for this lab, we cannot use our personal account. We can use only the lab email address and password. Okay, so let me enter the password. So once we enter, are you trying to sign in to the Microsoft Azure CLI? It's clearly asking. Even if you observe our command line session, it's still we haven't authenticated. So here it is giving a authentication. We need to click continue. So that means it will giving a trust relationship to our command line access. See what the instruction it is saying is Microsoft Azure cross-platform command line interface. You have signed into the Microsoft cross-platform command line interface application on your device. You may now close this window. Okay, so it's successfully trusted this authentication. And even if you see here in our command line already authenticated, we can close this window. Okay, as per the instruction. So now we successfully log into our cloud name, which is Azure Cloud. That means it's a public cloud. We have a tenant ID, and also we have the name state is enabled and tenant ID we have, and our name is, this is our email address and type is user. We are able to successfully log in. And once we successfully log in, we need to verify our authentication and get the cluster details. So in order to get the cluster details, this is the command. AKS get credentials hyphen resource group student name and name our lab. So just copy this command and you can run it here. So press enter. Once we run this command, it clearly says that merged our credential access to the Zerto Kubernetes lab. As current context is, see, we are able to see our kubeconfig file. Okay, all the kubeconfig files are detected. And to verify our AKS cluster information, we need to type the command kubectl space get space nodes. So let me paste this command here. Now enter. See, it successfully detected our nodes information. AKS default, we have the nodes information and status is ready and the roles are agent and the age for this nodes is 81 minutes and the current version is 1.23.5. Okay, so this is how we log into our Zerto hands-on lab. The first command we used AZ login, and then we get the trusted with our Microsoft device login using email and password. And then we are able to access our kubeconfig file and verify the nodes information. Okay, in our next session, I will show you to install one sample Kubernetes application, such as any web application. I will show you the lab for that. And then followed by, I will show you how to install the Zerto for Kubernetes using Helm. Okay, and finally we can do the some restoration test. Okay, so with interest of our time, I'll just stop the session here. So hope you understand how we can enable the test drive for the Zerto for Kubernetes hands-on lab. Okay, so let's back to the slide. So that's it for today. Thanks for your time. And if you are watching this video first time, please do view, like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Cloud Garage. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate all your support. Bye for now.